As the Lakers have sucked this year, with LeBron going on an insane run lately to little benefit, along with comments that he has made to the media, a lot of people have speculated on the idea that LeBron might ask out of Los Angeles. And wherever you may fall on that particular discussion, whether or not you believe that is something he would do, that's not really the interesting thing to me. What's most interesting about this entire hypothetical is what a LeBron trade would actually look like. What LeBron's value would be if a trade were to go down. How much does a 39-year-old with 1 year left on his deal, who happens to be making 50+ million on that year, how much does that player go for on the open market, given he can help you win now, but how long of an impact does he have left? So, well, let's speculate. What does a LeBron trade actually look like? Let's talk about it. Real quick, if you end up enjoying this video, then please be sure to give it a like to help it do better in the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more of this type of content, subscribe to the channel to help me reach my goal of hitting 300K subs by the end of the year. That subscription would seriously be much appreciated. Now, when I said in the intro that LeBron has been playing really well lately, not much benefit, I was not exactly kidding about how good he has been playing. In fact, being that it is LeBron, I'm frankly surprised how much it has gone under the radar. But over the last 18 games, LeBron has averaged 31.7 points, 8 rebounds, and 6.5 assists with a 62% true shooting percentage. And upon turning 38, he had 2 back-to-back 40 pieces, 47 versus the Hawks and 43 versus the Hornets. The reason I say all of this before actually talking about the trades is I want to establish that LeBron is indeed still a superstar caliber NBA player, which is something that we were debating earlier on in the year as he started the season slow. Seemed like LeBron was no longer superstar tier, but he's walked his way back into that conversation, and that's important because that means that trading for LeBron does mean trading for a superstar player. The superstar player that the timeline of how long that player can be a superstar is entirely in question. LeBron, of course, as I mentioned, is 38 years old, and he is a 38-year-old who over the last 2 seasons has averaged 30+ missed games a year. This is the most human and vulnerable version of LeBron that we have seen, which also means he is at the least valued he's ever been. He's also going to take up a huge percentage of the cap sheet one way or the other. After this year, LeBron makes $53 million, and he has a $57 million player option, which I guess he could pass up, but then he's only doing that because he could make more than 57 either from you or someone else. So one way or the other, it's a lot of damn money, which I guess also potentially means that you're trading for a one and done because he could just leave after next year. But I think A, probably can't do better than 57 million on the open market per year, and B, if you're trading for LeBron, it's already a short-sighted thing anyways. So what kind of package can we actually expect to see for LeBron? Well, there's multiple different ways to make it happen, but I don't think he will have a crazy high asking price. If you're trading for LeBron, you're doing so with the intention of winning this year, worst case winning next year. I also think through his relationship with the Lakers front office, there's a good chance that LeBron is going to end up pretty much exactly where he wants to, so that alone is going to limit the trade quite substantially. So a requirement for a team to trade for LeBron, they have to be legit contenders after they trade for him, they have to have salary filler to make a move work, and they have to have some assets to trade for him. Again, I don't think a 38 going on 39-year-old when he's actually traded for, because he can't be moved until the offseason, who is making 50+ million a year, I don't think that it's going to get a massive overhaul, but be prepared to give up some first-round picks and or intriguing young player or players. Also, I think the team has to at least somewhat be a team that LeBron would enjoy being on. So I don't think that there, for example, is any chance he's going to end up on the Timberwolves. So with all that criteria laid out, here are the teams that actually make some sense to trade for LeBron James in this offseason. The Miami Heat, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Portland Trail Blazers. And I also want to throw 4 total wildcard teams out there, teams I don't believe really have a shot, but would at least try to involve themselves in those conversations. Those teams being the Bulls, Thunder, Knicks, and Raptors. And just to get them out of the way, let me quickly talk about those wildcard teams and why I think they might somewhat try in this instance. I could see those teams convincing themselves to trade for LeBron and then do more after to make the team at least resemble a contender. I don't think, for example, LeBron replacing DeMar on the Bulls makes them really contenders, but maybe if they overhaul the roster after really well, it's possible. The Thunder would probably cash their assets on someone much younger than LeBron, but hey, maybe he's coming along with another star to pair with SGA. The Knicks could trade for him and then move RJ for a more established guy to become contenders, or just hope for that leap from him. And the Raptors are a team I think is always in a good position to trade for a superstar, but again, I think they play it conservatively and go for someone who will be there for more than 2 years top. So I don't think any of those trades are going to go down, and I didn't just throw the Bulls in there because I'm a Bulls fan. I don't want that trade to go down, as interesting as it would certainly be, but I'm just saying with all of these teams, I would not be surprised if when an actual trade request went through, we saw rumors of these teams calling up the Lakers. But let's get to the serious teams, and among those serious teams, there are also 2 teams that I could very easily see saying, actually, no thanks regard. And those teams are, of course, the young ones being the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. Here are the hypothetical trades for both of these teams. I don't think that it makes a lot of sense, but also it could definitely supercharge them and give them a better chance at contending immediately. The argument would be that LeBron could help boost those young players to another level, but you also don't want to, at LeBron's age, give him full reins of things. So I could see both of those teams being like, nah, we're already on a good trajectory with our future and our young players. We're not going to mess with that for a 39-year-old LeBron. But also at the same time, I could see entertaining that and then also hopefully not giving up too much, resulting in supercharging those teams and getting them further than they were going to in the near future. But that leaves us with 2 teams in each conference that I do think would strongly consider a LeBron trade. Once LeBron is tradable, the Mavericks will have access to their future first-round picks again, and maybe LeBron is what they use those picks on. This, though, is in a similar-ish vein to the Grizzlies and Pelicans thing, because even though the Mavericks are not necessarily a young team overall, Luka Doncic obviously is, and they're probably going to want to trade for a star player that can be around Luka for 5+ years at least. So if I'm going to trade 3 first-round picks like the Mavericks would probably have to in this deal, in that instance, I don't know that I would want to trade those on a 39-year-old. That's kind of the thing we keep looping back to, but it's worthy of mention. But the idea of Luka and LeBron is definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting writing, not what I would expect. And it'd be interesting to see where those two are like a little bit redundant, but also they're smart enough and talented enough that they can make up for the fact that there's some redundancy there. It'd be interesting for sure. The Blazers, I actually think make a ton of sense, especially given their general vibe of desperation. And I actually think they can keep a great starting lineup intact, although you do lose some in the depth department, and obviously you're losing starting center. But Lillard, Simons, LeBron, Grant, and find a center in free agency, yeah, that's a hell of a lineup. But the 2 teams that I think have the strongest chance of trading for LeBron also happen to be the 2 teams that are in the Eastern Conference, those being the Heat and the 76ers. With the Miami Heat, as we all well know, LeBron seems to love a return story, so why not the return 2.0? I do think that the Miami Heat can give a decent trade, and it makes sense for them to trade for a star player like LeBron. Again, there would be some redundancy concerns because Jimmy Butler and LeBron kind of play in similar areas of the floor. I will say though, as LeBron has got older, he's become more and more of a jump shooter, and I think he'd fully adapt to that role alongside Jimmy Butler, and I think it would work out fine, and he'd be well worth what they'd be giving up. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Miami, and it's just a really cool story. I'd love to see LeBron back. And you know, I know a lot of people's fondest memories of him are like earlier on before Miami or post that. Usually it's sometime where he's in a Cavs jersey, but for me, LeBron, as I knew him going into the league, was he joined the Heat the year I started watching the NBA, and to me, LeBron was a member of the Miami Heat. It'd just be cool. It'd be nostalgic for me, even. And then last but not least is the Philadelphia 76ers as a team that also makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, asset-wise, they are a little bit finicky because their pick situation is weird. They have some protections and some other traded picks, and Stepien rule gets involved. By the way, abolish the Stepien rule, please. And they really don't have any young player to give away other than Tyrese Maxey, and of course, trading Tyrese for LeBron would be pretty dumb. He isn't going anywhere. So they have probably the worst trade package. They at very least have the easiest giant salary throwaway in Tobias Harris, but I do think their asset stuff is a little concerning. That said, I do think this can really just ultimately come down to what LeBron asks to go to, and I think the Sixers are probably going to be towards the top of that list. James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. Pretty hard to deny that that would be good. So yeah, I think the Sixers or the Heat are my best guess. After that, the Portland Trail Blazers, and then like maybe the Mavericks, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be one of those. If, of course, LeBron does ask to leave. We'll have to see. Anyways, shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.